Hey everybody, welcome to my weekly live video call where I answer your questions. I share a thought for the week and I invite you to ask more questions around what you're doing on your current journey, whether it's career or business or personal. One of the whole points of having exclusive access to these video chats as well as the community in here is to give you, my take on things to help you out. But also, there's a lot of people in this. There's people in this community now who can help you as well to answer questions. You may have an issue with work. You may have a project you're working on. You may have a piece of content. Maybe you're working on your story. Maybe your work needs some feedback on a presentation or a document or a phrase, and that's why we're here. So we always encourage you to share that stuff. So that's why I'm here today, because you can also put questions in every Tuesday, and then I'll answer them on Wednesdays. So I actually have I can't stay long because I'm doing my 5 day challenge again, and today I'm going to talk about storytelling in about 20 minutes. But one of the questions, so I'll start with one thought. So some of you may have seen the post I did on Friday talking about all the challenges that were weighing on me, and I talked about the things that are going on in Canada with the residential schools and with what happened in London with that attack. And I talked about my weight. I talked about this issue with my daughter, and one of the things that it's important to understand is that the reason why I do this is because I want to give you permission to share your story, to share your journey, to share your struggle. Because most people are fearful or trepidation about sharing that kind of stuff online. Now, there's certain things you share. I mean, there's certain things you don't share. I know we're all going through tough things. And so one of the rules is not put people down. I wouldn't talk about work and then put down the company in a really bad way, or put down a colleague or something like that, or put down a friend. Although you can talk about what's going on with you and how you're feeling. I think that's what I did, and a lot of people reached out, which was really wonderful. Part of the reason I posted because it was a great way for me to kind of process my feelings and my emotions, to unload what's in my brain and put it on paper or on social media so that it's there. And I find that to be a very effective tool. So if any of you are journaling or doing video blogs, whatever it might be, you might find that to be a bit of a release. In fact, you can even use this group to text or video and vent and rant about whatever you want. And that's okay, because this group is about supporting you on that journey, whatever it might be or whatever challenge you might be facing. So that's one of the reasons. But for me, I find that there's a lot of people who appreciate those types of messages. The silent viewer that never talks or never comments, never writes, and they say, I'm glad you said that. And I got a lot of private messages from people, which is great to start that discussion, because I think it's important for people to do that. So for me, I'm glad that it's able to encourage the discussion and, again, empower people and to validate their feelings and to give them permission and give them hold space for them to share their thoughts of what they're going through. Because the pandemic is difficult, that we're all dealing with in different ways. I think even now, what's interesting now that we're starting to slowly get out of the pandemic is how are we going to get back to life again? There are many people I know among my network who are nervous. They haven't exercised some of their social skills and some of their and relationship building skills in a while, and they're feeling like a little bit rusty, feeling like a little bit nervous, trepidatious. And again, that's also normal. I, for one, am super excited to get out there, and I think I'll be okay. The next time I'll be in front of an audience of 100 or maybe even more speaking, I'm going to be on fire, just like some other extroverts like myself are. But other people are trepidatious. I think that's normal. So if you have any questions as I'm talking, or if you have any questions after this video is done and in the page, you can comment below. Let me know what your questions are. But the one question that came up is, and it's a good one, and it's a longer one, which was from Marissa, about talking about the 4 areas of fulfillment. And so I'll dive deeper into that one. So, and this is something that I've kind of come up with, because I've worked with, I've spoken to 1 million people around the world, and I've workshopped thousands of people, and I've coached hundreds of people over the last 15 years. And one of the things that I find is that and the way it works is people find fulfillment. So when I say fulfillment, fulfillment. Fulfillment is like joy, happiness. Um, but fulfillment's a different thing. Fulfillment also includes the bad stuff. So, for example, being a parent is fulfilling because I take the good with the bad. So that means like all the hugs and snuggles, all the great memories, but also the late nights, the crying, the poop. Like that's part of it. But it's fulfilling. Entrepreneurship is fulfilling. Entrepreneurship with the stress, the deadlines, but then also the flexibility, the autonomy, the freedom, the financial opportunities. It's fulfillment is what you want because fulfillment includes the up and downs of the journey. And so we all find fulfillment, which leads to more joy, happiness, success. And that's actually how it came about. Someone asked me, how do I define success? Is success money? Is success things? Is success lots of children? Like what exactly is it? And I said, well, for me, success is enhancing and growing the areas of fulfillment that are important to us. And so the more those areas are fulfilled, the more successful I feel. So what are the ways in which people feel fulfillment? Well, it seems to me there's four main categories, and you can certainly correct me if I'm wrong or you have your own opinion on this thing. But from what I've seen, there's four areas. Number one is work. So we get fulfillment from the work we do. So whether I'm working in a corporate job, whether I'm working on my own business, or even like I volunteer at my church or my mosque, or I help senior citizens. That type of the work we're doing brings us fulfillment, meaning, and purpose. Okay, so the work is one. The other way in which we find fulfillment is people, and this is a very easy one. You find a lot of fulfillment with your family, your brothers and sisters, your parents. Having children is very fulfilling. Having friends is very fulfilling. It's a way to bring comfort, peace, joy, happiness, community, support, all the different things. So people, even your work colleagues, can be fulfilling because you work with some awesome people and you feel part of a team, you feel part of a great organization. So again, people are a big part of where we find fulfillment. The third one would be our extracurricular or our passion pursuits, right? So a lot of people find fulfillment from their hobbies, like fitness and health is a perfect example. Meditation, hot yoga, rock climbing, stamp collecting. And yeah, some people you could even argue they find fulfillment by watching movies and things like that. But some people find a lot of fulfillment with those things. So those extracurricular passion pursuits, that we'll call them. And the fourth way is harder to describe, but it's really kind of a mental, spiritual, religious thing. So some people find religion to be a very fulfilling experience, right? So, whether, and all the different religions are like this. So Islam, Judaism, Christianity, all the other types. That people find fulfillment and joy and peace from that religious belief or that religious situation. Others who are not religious are spiritual, and they find spirituality and what they believe in this from the spiritual aspect to be fulfilling. Or they find things like meditation and mental acuity and mental fitness and things they do to work on that to be something that really helps them out, and that brings them a lot of joy. So so those are the four areas of fulfillment. Now, in order to have the maximum success, you want to try to improve on all four of them as much as possible. It's very similar to the wheel of life. And what I found over the years is that typically we make excuses or we create narratives in our head that diminish one or more of those areas of fulfillment. So a perfect example is, I really hate my job, but thank goodness for my wife and kids because they keep me grounded and fulfilled. And so they continue to work on that shitty job and just enjoy the time with their family, but they're willing to spend 8 hours every day, 5 days a week going to work and feeling unfulfilled because they create the narrative that's the status quo. Another example would be, well, I love my job. Things are tough. Things are really rough at home with the kids or with my friends. I feel kind of lonely, but I love my job and some good people there, so I'm going to work extra long hours. And I'll work 12 hours and blah blah blah. And that's their narrative, and they don't want to do anything else to fix their relationships or their friendships back home. Or even worse, hate my job, hate my wife and kids, but thank goodness for hot yoga. I can go to the hot yoga, or I can go to I can go to the retreat, or I can go to the church, or the whatever, and I find some solace there. And everything else is crappy, but at least I have that. And let me spend more time on that. I'll spend 6 hours, 6 hours a day focusing on that thing, and then everything else is terrible. I'm just going to let it be. And I guess my message is that that's not the way to live. What you should do is you should try to maximize, enhance, and grow all areas of fulfillment. So, if you have a bad job and your family's great, then that doesn't mean you should settle for that crappy job. You should look to get a job that's more fulfilling, more rewarding. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get stuck in the narrative that it's okay to be in the status quo where two areas of fulfillment are great and the other two are mediocre or terrible. That's not the way to go. If your work is great and your work and life at home is not that great, then work to improve that. Work on improving your relationships with your wife, your kids, your family, your friends, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it might be, to work on those things. If work's pretty good and the family's good and you're feeling like you don't have any extracurricular pursuits, or your spirituality is waning, again, you can spend time on those things as opposed to saying, it's just garbage and I don't have time for it. You can put time and energy into it. And what I can tell you is that the more you invest in those areas of fulfillment, the more happy you'll feel and the more successful you'll feel. And when I look at how I feel about those things, like when I look at the people in my life, I feel very fulfilled. I have you in my coaching circle. I have my family, my friends, and and I miss people. Like I miss my friends and I miss whatever. But overall, there's a lot of gratitude. I'm very blessed. My parents are still alive. Like I have a lot going on, so I really feel really good about that. When it comes to the work I do, the work I do also is awesome because I love being an entrepreneur. I love the flexibility, the autonomy. I love being able to help people the way I have. Like I feel a personal connection to many of you and having helped you. And so that the work piece has been really, it's hard with the pandemic because I miss speaking on stages, but it'll come back. And so I think that one's been challenged a little bit. Like I haven't felt as good in the last year, but I found ways to compensate, and it's certainly not in a bad place. I'm on a path that speaking will come back and I'll get to be on stage again, and it'll be great, and I'll do my best to navigate it. So I feel pretty good. And then when it comes to the pursuits and the spirituality piece is interesting. I feel pretty good about where I am as a Muslim and someone who feels spiritual, and where my belief systems are. For the most part, I feel really good about my values. They're pretty rooted in things that I care about, and I have a good solid sense of who I am and what I believe and what I stand for. So for me, and now I'm doing a little bit of these meditation apps, which is kind of cool. So I'm feeling pretty good. I wouldn't say it's perfect. I think I could do a little bit more meditation stuff and more mindful reflection stuff. I find that really hard personally, but I'm working on it. So I'd say but it's not bad. But to my point, I'm working on it. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not saying forget about that stuff. No, I'm always working on that stuff. And the last one is the extracurricular pursuits. Again, that one is harder to do when I have young kids and with the pandemic. But I have been investing in things like Clubhouse. I am investing in things that keep me occupied with books and movies and, like with my kids and projects. So I'm working on some of those things. It could be better, but again, I'm working on it. So that's the whole point behind these areas of fulfillment. Know the 4 areas of fulfillment, okay? The work, the people, the passion pursuits, and the spiritual, the mental, the religious, and work on those things to enhance them as best you can, and you'll find that if you'll feel better and you'll feel more successful if they are rich and they are good. So and I think the reason why Marissa was asking is because she's probably wondering about her work. You have to never settle for the status quo, right? Status quo is not where you want to be. In fact, most people that I've worked with that are miserable or confused or want to get better is because they too often have they've stuck themselves with a narrative with status quo, and that includes people who've been in the same job for 15 years. Corporations can really mold you into a way of thinking, and culture is very powerful. So you have to be mindful of those things as you try to move forward, and don't get too stuck. Always constantly grow. Always think about those 4 areas for fulfillment, and trying to keep bettering yourself and bettering your surroundings. All right, so hope you found that useful. Hope you found that helpful. If you have any other questions, comment below and let me know. If you think this video is really helpful, share with others and let people know that this is something that a lot of people talk about, and it's important to know. All right. So thanks so much, everybody. Take care. See you soon.